to another video while we're all in isolation, and today I just want to talk about what it takes to be consistent. And one of those things is grace, the realization that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me is one thing that I hold up, because whenever I'm doing something, whenever I want to do something, I just realize that I'm not doing this by my own strength, especially if it's something that it's not just benefiting myself, it's benefiting somebody else. I kind of just leave the power to God to kind of move through me, to kind of work through me. And Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in God and lean not on your own understanding. And so that basically makes me think, we're not superheroes. I'm not a superhero. I can't do everything, basically. I have to kind of just trust in God and trust in the grace that God gives me to do the certain things that I want to do. Even though I do make the plan, I say, I want to do it by this time and do it by that time. If I don't make it, it's not the end of the world. There's always tomorrow to try again. There's always another time to try again. And yes, so number one thing I think about understanding about consistency is that it's by the grace of God that we're even able to be consistent in the first place. And another thing that really helps with consistency is accountability. If there's someone in our lives that we can be accountable to, maybe it's a pastor, a friend, a family member, or somebody that's always checking up on us with whatever we want to be consistent in, really helps. With our job, normally it's naturally set up where we have our managers or our bosses that that always check up on us, asking us what we're doing, making sure we're on job. We're bringing solutions to the business so that they can continue to pay us. That's naturally set up. And so sometimes even in our lives with certain goals and things that we want to do, we might have to even set up that accountability. Call up the friend, call up the family member and ask them to always check up on you with the thing that you say you want to do. And that really helps you. That just gives you that extra push you need to be consistent. And one more thing that helps with consistency is planning. When there's something clear, that is concise, that you can always make reference to, then it's harder to not be consistent, because you know exactly what you need to do. You don't have to always think back and say, what is it again I have to do? No, but it's concise, it's clear that, okay, this is what I have to do. You just look at it and you're able to just move on and just do the task. And I think it's also important to note not to set ourselves up for failure by kind of planning too much into either our day or our year. Don't put too much in. That way you're able to really focus on whatever it is you want to be consistent at. If it's working out, if it's a financial goal that you want to consistently save up, it's much easier if you don't set yourself up for failure. Start small and then grow from there. I think for me with running, I started with once a week, and now I'm trying to improve to twice and then 3 times, and then from there grow and even add other things with maybe what you're eating. I think in general it's better not to set ourselves up for failure. And one last thing that I think is actually quite important with consistency is the motive. Like, what's your why? When your why is strong, then it's harder to not be consistent. We're in isolation. I'm eating more than I used to eat, and so I'm developing. I'm getting bigger, and so I'm thinking, okay, no, I do not get bigger. Let me just work this out, and maybe even develop a new part of myself that I didn't have before. Once I actually do like running, I like the feeling I get after I run. So that's another thing I've discovered from this, trying to from this fitness goal of trying to be consistent with that. And so your motive is actually very, very important for you to have a reason as to why you're doing whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be consistent at, because that will really push you when you're not feeling the best, when you're not feeling as you did maybe when you started. And so that motivation will keep you going and keep you pushing. And to conclude, I really think that we can do anything we put our minds to. All you have to do is just be consistently consistent. Create the plan, find out your motivation, create the accountability if you need to, and then surrender it all to God. Just give it all to God. Get that divine support for the work that you're putting in. And you get there. And there's this quote by Kelly. His name is Kelly Cardenas, and I heard it while I was listening to a podcast called "Redefining Wealth" by Patrice Washington. And the podcast was recommended by Haley Melinda's Building You podcast. So while I was listening to her podcast, she recommended that podcast. Anyways, so the quote was, he said that, and I'm just going to paraphrase. He said that if you want it, you will have it, and if you don't have it, that means you don't want it enough. And I really keyed into that. Like, if you really want what you want, you're gonna get it. And I have a little testimony actually. Back in late 2017, I was really praying to start uni and to move out of my parents' house to where I am now. And I remember just then actually that all I was doing was just repeating the same prayer points and also repeating the same actions. The same actions for uni, was looking online for unis, looking for courses, sending applications, writing personal statements, doing all this, repeating the same thing. Some I get through to the lecturer or whatever, some I don't. And also even with the place I am, I also remember like calling up a lot of agencies, like telling them the same story of I'm a student and this and that. And I just remember doing the same thing. And within short periods of each other for both testimonies, I remember just like everything kind of just turned around. All of a sudden, I was starting uni. All of a sudden, I moved out of my parents' house. I'm living here, and it's just like everything just happened. And like I said, even going back to that, that quote, I think really, if you want it, you will have it. And if you're consistently persistent, there's no barrier, there's no hindrance that can stop you. You will most definitely get it. And I hope this has been some encouragement while in isolation. Something I've been just mulling over. I've been thinking about. And yes, it's a lesson I've learned in isolation. I hope you enjoyed the video, anyways. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.